This is round one of a constructed tournament that we had at the Portland Games Store in Portland, Oregon. At the top of the screen is Kellen playing a Witch deck, and at the bottom of the screen is Steve playing an Animist deck. This was part of a tournament series that's actually still ongoing for 2026 called the Trials of Spring. This was Steve's idea. Steve works at the game store. And it is the premise is that it is a series of tournaments in the spring here in the Portland area, and each tournament is thematically collected around a series of, I think, 6 avatars for each tournament. So the first one was called the Mighty, and the avatar pool was Battle Mage, Blade Dancer, Ironclad, Templar, Dragon Lord, Avatar of Earth. And you could choose to take any of those 6 avatars for the tournament, and that was it. And this tournament is called the Mystical, and it showcases Animist, Elementalist, Druid, Witch, Avatar of Water, and Seer. So the collection of avatars that you're allowed to choose are a little more thematic, and there's not like a ton of like rhyme or reason in terms of like level balancing them to meta. It is just more like for like fun flavor. Steve getting out a pretty defensive site split here with the Perilous Bridge into the center, and then Manor at Dapperel to the side there, making it a little difficult for Kellen to get onto his side of the board here. Steve also getting out an Evil Presence, and in this Animist deck, it is very much leaning into, I think, like a very like, it might just be a mono air spirit package. So having Evil Presence is a huge component to how that deck is going to perform. Either just getting a ton of value out of spirits, native spirits in your spellbook, and then also taking advantage of the Animist ability to create spirits, and then being able to cast them with that aura, giving them charge. Just a very, very powerful, tool to have. Kellen just repositioning his pond really quick here, and getting a questing beast out with the discount. It does come in with stealth, so there should be a stealth token on it, I believe. That was all 5 or 4. Yeah, that was all mana in his mana pool for that turn. Passing turn back to Steve. Steve getting his 4th sight out here. It's a Spore Spouts. I think he's taking a look at what he has in hand and kind of deciding how he wants to play this out. 4 mana for turn. Using Spore Spouts to cast Evil Presence as a minion for 2. That is technically not a legal play because Evil Presence is an aura, not a magic spell. But it is a really inventive way to remove the questing beast from the table. So attacking him for 2, and then Kellen taking the bait, choosing to block for 2 points of damage, and then following up with a magic missile for 3. Steve realizing that play was illegal, so I think they're going to roll back. They're going to roll back this turn really quick here. It's a fairly easy mistake to make, or I think at least it's a common mistake to make here. If you're trying to play Animist, it is easy to forget that sometimes like not every spell is a magic type spell. There are other things in there like auras that don't count for the ability. So they are electing to resolve the situation by just rolling back the turn. The questing beast gets to stay on the table with stealth, and then I think Steve took back his cards but just forfeits his turn, so he doesn't get to spend his mana. Kellen getting out a Horn of Carleon onto his home site. Passing turn and then moving up one with the questing beast. I think in general it would have likely been a stronger play for Kellen to play the questing beast, either on the River of Blood, or no, he had to play it on the pond because he cheated it out. But play it on the pond at end of turn, activate its ability to take a step, and then take a step onto River of Blood. That way he would have been in position this turn to attack in to the manor, and then at end of turn take a step and move it onto the Perilous Bridge from the side. So it would have been a good way to sneak in an extra 5 points of damage on that turn and put the questing beast further up into Steve's face. Steve getting out a Hexam Haunt. Hexam Haunt has to be played buried. He can play it onto Kellen's sites because of Evil Presence, and Evil Presence also gives minions at the site that you spirits at the site that you summon charge. So he's able to summon it buried under Kellen's home site, and then attack up on the same turn with charge for 3 points of damage. Evil Presence bounces back to hand, but then Steve choosing to cast it out again for two more mana in the passing turn. I think he also got a City of Glass out on that turn, so he has ramped himself up to 6 mana at this point. Kellen, just joking, it's been a while since we've seen Kellen in the scene. He took an extended vacation with his wife to Japan, so he's a little rusty at the game, but I don't think anybody really feels too bad for him because he got to spend a 3-week vacation in Japan, just bumming around, having fun. So he's looking at what he wants to do here again, and I mean, honestly, like Questing Beast is still a real threat. I would just do the play that I thought he should have done on the previous turn there, like attack into Manor for 5 points. It'll break stealth, but then at end of turn, just take a step towards the Perilous Bridge, using which to tap to draw a site, paying for Captain Baldassare. Baldassare comes in with charge because of the Horn of Carleon. Going to trade with the Hexam Haunt. Baldassare's ability will proc, so we get to look at the next 3 cards on Steve's spellbook. And if Kellen had more mana, he could have attempted to cast one of them. But unfortunately, he had to spend all 4 on Baldassare, just to play Baldassare. And there's that play with the Questing Beast that we mentioned. So 5 points in, and then taking a step at end of turn to get it off of the manor. Steve responding with an Arc Lightning for 4 points of damage, followed up by a Magic Missile. So that'll do the last 5th point of damage to Questing Beast, and then send 2 points to the Witch. I believe tapping for a site with his avatar passing turn. So a good job of clearing the board Both players still fairly even here on board state. Steve still has that Hexam Haunt, which can just recur back, which is worrying, especially since he has the Evil Presence out. Kellen playing an Acid Rain, silencing, choosing to silence the Manor at Dapperel. Apparently, he found the Manor to be more of a threat than I think. I guess Glass, City of Glass. He doesn't have anything like in position to attack into Manor at this point. I think it might have been a better positioning to just deny the extra mana from City of Glass. Steve with an answer, he's going to disenchant, and then we're like summon the Hexam Haunts. Thanks to Evil Presence, then attacking up for 3 points of damage. Playing out a town, and then final 2 points of mana for the turn, or last play for the turn to play an Evil Presence again, and then passing back here. Steve set himself up with just a ton of mana at this point. He's sitting at 7, thanks to City of Glass, which is a lot of mana in the game. Like, you can do a lot of things with 7 mana. Like, most decks, it virtually guarantees that you can cast anything you want in your hand, and in a lot of decks, it likely means that you have the option to double cast if you need to. Hexam Haunts, just still being a nuisance here. A 3-power body on Kellen's home site. Kellen activating the Witch to add 1 Steve's casting costs. I think, like, looking at the board state, because Steve has so much mana, I don't think it is as punishing to tax his spells an additional mana on his next turn, versus, say, just tapping to do 2 points of damage, to drain 2 points of life from his life total. Kellen, like, kind of losing the value trade here just by like, he's trading 1 for 1 with this Sea Raider that can charge and kill the Hexam Haunt thanks to the Horn. I think technically that wasn't a correct play either. Because they are forgetting they're forgetting that the Hexam Haunt has Airborne, so I don't think that should have been a legal target for the attack. What he could have done is he could have just cast it defensively, and had it been available to block. I don't think that would have really gotten him what he needed, though, just because there's nowhere that he could put the Raider that would allow it to defend every square that the Hexam Haunt could reach with Airborne. He's casting a Beast, a Murder of Crows for 4 points of damage, because he has, or for 4 mana, because he has to pay the extra penalty because of the Witch ability. But it is coming in with charge because of Evil Presence. And then I think Evil Presence bounces back and Steve plays that out again. So he's getting like a ton of value again out of that Evil Presence. And I think Evil Presence is just like keystone to the way that Steve has set up this Animist deck. Like, it is all in on a mono air spirits package. And I think if you get Evil Presence and you're able to just like charge in with everything in your hand, it feels really good. And if you never see that card in your games, it probably feels a lot less palatable. They're musing really quick on whether or not a magic spell that had to cost an additional 1 mana from the Witch ability would come in with an adjusted power level, because it cost 4 to cast. And the answer is in the FAQ on the Animist. I flashed that on the screen a second ago, and it doesn't. It keys off of the Animist's the card's innate cost printed on the card, not whatever it adjusts to. Kellen again choosing to tap the Witch for a mana tax on Steve's next turn. Again, I don't think that was a super strong play, just because like Steve has so much mana, it really feels like it's not gonna do that much or be as impactful to force his spells to cost an additional 1. When he's sitting with a mana pool of 7 mana, I think he can still cast whatever he wants on his turn with impunity. And it's probably better to either just tap for sight, or honestly, we're playing Witch. It's probably better to just tap for the 2 points of damage. If he had been tapping for damage, that would have been, I guess, 4 points of damage, additional damage in at this point. I would have been able to get Steve to 11, which feels a little more significant in this game. The Hexam Haunt's just continuing to be a huge problem for Kellen here. The toolbox has been on the board for a very long time, and unfortunately, like you would think that there would be more answers. You think there would be more answers for what Kellen has to deal with here but by using his toolbox, but I guess he hasn't been able to yet. Kellen with a really good idea, because the home site that they're sitting on is Gilman House, and he wanted to use the ability to transform the Hexam Haunt into a horrible hybrid, and by transforming it, it banishes the original card and then turns that game piece into the horrible hybrid token, and then he could just like remove it and not have to deal with the Hexam Haunt coming back again and again. Unfortunately for him, Gilman House requires 4 water threshold to activate that ability, and he realized after he tried to do it that he's only sitting at 3 water threshold. But that would be a really good play if he was able to do that. Kellen definitely behind the ball on this in this game. I think he's just trying to figure out how he can deal with the Hexam Haunts, and it is just like I think it's going to be really hard for him to rock back in this game, just because he knows that Steve still has an Evil Presence in his hand, and he has so much mana set up that even taxed with the Witch, Evil Presence is what 2 mana. It would cost him 3 to get it out, and then he still has 5 mana to play with to cast something. Casting it with Evil Presence, like as a spirit, giving something charge. Just Steve can still push in a ton of pressure every turn with what he has in his hand here. Kellen choosing just to firebolt the Hexam Haunt for 3 points of damage. And again, it feels like a futile move there, because no matter what, Steve can recast Evil Presence, bring back Hexam Haunt, push in another 3 points of damage if he wants. So it doesn't really feel like a tempo play in the way that I think Kellen wants it to be. He could have chosen, I guess, maybe to just take a step forward with the Witch instead of tapping for a sight, and casting firebolts, that would have given him another 3 points of damage in. But here's ball lightning for 5. And that's gonna be 5 points of damage in. It cast as a spirit. With given charge because of evil presence, 5 points of damage coming in to Kellen. Brings him to 1. Almost door. Almost door this turn, but not quite. It's a tough position for Kellen no matter what. Just even if he had chosen to be more aggressive with a couple of his plays, it would have been the difference between whether or not he was going to be at door on that last turn or not. He's definitely going to go to door on his next turn when he passes back to Steve, I think, here. So we're going to see tapping for a sight that brings his threshold to 4 water. He could now choose to turn the... So he could have chose to activate Gilman House, but instead he's cracking his toolbox for a drown to drown the 5-power spirit that's currently on his site. Acid Rain again for 3, and then passing turn. So Steve, again, I think still has that Evil Presence in hand, should still have the pieces needed to get a spirit out for charge and bring Kellen to door here. Tapping to play out an Observatory. Gets to look at his next 3 spells, rearrange them any way he wants. And I think we're just going to see... We're going to see an Evil Presence, and then some type of spirit. Choosing a cast into exile as played as a 2-power minion. It's enough to bring him to door. Recasting Evil Presence. Casting a second Evil Presence. There's not a ton of reason, I think, in my opinion, to cast that second Evil Presence. Other than just to give it out to get it out of hand. I mean, it's only covering an additional two of Kellen's sites on board here, and I think Steve was just playing it as like a kind of like preparing to be in a situation where he can checkmate Kellen's avatar. But I mean, I think even just like holding it in hand, the likelihood, he has so much mana to draw from, the likelihood from that, like essentially like any magic spell or spirit minion that he draws from his spell book, he'll have enough mana to cast both an Evil Presence from hand as well as whatever that spirit minion ends up being. Steve top decking a grapple shot here when Kellen passes turn, and that's going to secure the win for him. A fun game to watch. Again, like Kellen just kind of getting back into the swing of things. It's been a while since he's played the game. He's taken about like a month plus off, and Steve kind of playing these fun, flavorful decks. It's really exciting seeing a win from Animist, even though I think this build is not the most sweaty meta build that it could be. It's still really fun seeing the spirit package being played and getting to fire in that way. That was game 1, and we'll move on to game 2 next.